Another day, another five-star commitment for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. Of course, this time, five-star KJ Bolden, one of the top players across the country in this 2024 class. This guy can do it all. Wide receiver, DB, special teams, you name it. This kid is electric and chose Georgia just now over Auburn, Florida State, Ohio State, Alabama. Kid could have gone wherever he wanted, and Georgia was the team that fought off Auburn and Florida State in the end to land his commitment. Of course, this is a massive, massive deal for a lot of reasons, but this kid brings elite track speed to the gridiron, ball skills, length, 6'1", 185 pounds. He really checks all the boxes, in my opinion, at wide receiver, but I think Georgia is going to give him a look at safety first. That's kind of where he told me that Georgia wants to play him. Now, early on, he said, Georgia just wants me. And, whether it's wide receiver, defensive back, they just want me on the roster. And Brian McClendon was, a guy who was really pushing and recruiting KJ to Georgia. It wasn't just Fran Brown, Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann. It wasn't everyone on defense. They had offensive coaches pushing for KJ Bolden, too. This was a guy that they did not want to leave the state. Almost did. I made a video last week saying I was hearing a little more Auburn, a little more Florida State. But as the week went on, it seemed like Florida State was fading a little bit, but the Auburn buzz was still there. He obviously took his last visit before making this commitment to Auburn, and they're doing a great job. Hugh Freeze, say what you want about the guy. He knows how to recruit, and he's bringing in some big-time players. And I think it was Auburn who came in second for KJ Bolden. I don't know that for a fact, but what I do know is that he decided to play at home for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, this is a big deal, not only because he's such a great player, but because they had to really fight for him and keep him on board. This is not a guy who grew up a big Georgia fan, right? He was, actually grew up a Florida State fan, and they definitely had his attention. But, I asked KJ recently, if Georgia is going to be the pick, what's the reason why? He said Georgia is a special place because the coaches and the players that are there, they always have a common goal. It's not a place where being average is acceptable. The atmosphere at Georgia is so family-oriented. The relationship with the coaches also stands out to me. When I think about Georgia, the first word that comes to mind is legendary. They're a hard-working team. They grind. They work hard at the practices. Every time I'm at a practice, that's what I see. He said Coach Smart is Coach Smart. He's one of the greatest coaches in the game right now. Coach McClendon is my guy. He always keeps it real with me. We grew up on the same side of town. He already knows where I come from, my mindset, my work ethic. We've definitely built a great relationship. I like that he cares about me, and it's more than football. He checks on me to see how I am every single day and how I'm feeling. He said Coach B-Mac cares about me. He's passionate about what he does. He said Coach Fran Brown is my guy too. He sends me a motivational quote every morning. He gets my day going. So the relationship with the staff is why I think Georgia won him over. He felt very comfortable at Georgia, took multiple visits over there. Again, he's 45 minutes away, right at Buford. Dylan Raiola is a big deal too. But at the end of the day, the coaches that recruited him and got him on, the commit list, that's why they're national champions. Make sure you are, sign up to our newsletter. It's free. The link is down below. We've got a lot of recruiting news going on, a lot of fall camp news. It's free to sign up, and we've got free stories all the time. So it doesn't take much. Sign up, read a free Dawg Post story or two every day, and then check us out on the website if you want more of the premium kind of hard-hitting stuff that we're putting out there. So the link is down below, but there's another elite talent that they're going to put in the secondary. They now have Ellis Robinson, right? Number one cornerback, top 10 player in the country at corner. They've got KJ Bolden now, fast, explosive, lengthy, athletic, ball skills. The guy can hit too. I mean, he knows how to deliver a pop, and he can help in the run game. He does check all the boxes at safety. Number one safety in the country. Put him right there. DeMello Jones, ranked as the number 10, I think, cornerback prospect in the country. Top 100 player in the country. You've got him at cornerback. The Georgia staff loves him. He plays in the middle of nowhere at Swainsboro down in southeast Georgia, but he's a baller. He is an athlete, and they love his potential at cornerback. You got Peyton Woodyard, California kid, right? 4-star, hard-hitting safety who brings a lot more size. I think he's one of the top 5 safeties in America. You put him right next to KJ Bolden, And you got four just absolute studs in the secondary. With Cameron Michael still out there, he's a 4-star. I think they like a cornerback, could play some safety down the road as well. Out of Statesboro, he's an explosive athlete. Dude's just got muscles for days. He's going to make a decision around close to signing day, but Georgia's right in the mix for him too. I think they'd love to add a fifth defensive back in this class, but KJ Bolden, as good as it gets. We've been hearing about this kid, people who cover Georgia and who cover high school football, who have been doing this for more than 2 years. We heard about KJ Bolden years ago when he was an 8th grader, how fast and explosive this kid was. And at the time, he was just an athlete, just making plays all over the place. I've seen him make a lot of plays at receiver at Buford. If he played for me, I'd give him at least a long, hard look at wide receiver. And Georgia might too, because I think he has game-changing speed. He was on the Buford State Championship 4x100 team a couple years ago. One of the fastest players, not only in the state, but across the country. And they've got some fast ones in Georgia. Dwight Phillips Jr., a Georgia commit, might be the fastest of them all. Zion Reagans, an Oklahoma commit at Jones County. He is extremely dangerous. It's just the flash. I mean, he's small, but that kid can really run. And, Buford's got some dogs too who are really fast, and KJ Bolden is absolutely one of them. But when you just watch him practice, if you watch him play, even on a loaded Buford defense, KJ Bolden's the first guy, or one of the first guys that you notice. Edric Houston is really good too on the edge, defensive line. Don't think he's going to Georgia, but it is a big deal to get KJ Bolden, who is now the number 2 player in the state behind his teammate Dylan Raiola, who had Georgia, in his ear constantly. But this came down to his long-standing relationship with Kirby Smart, Fran Brown, Will Muschamp, Brian McClendon. This was a full staff effort to get KJ Bolden, committed. And again, they really had to fight Auburn and Florida State. For 95% of his recruitment, I told y'all, and I wrote on Dawg Post constantly, Georgia is the team to beat for KJ Bolden. There would be, multiple people told me that Georgia would be tough to beat in the end. They told me that months and months ago. And again, 95% of his recruitment, I've been saying Georgia's the pick. Last week got a little iffy because there was just so much Auburn talk, so much Auburn smoke. And before that, 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of Florida State talk. KJ did a great job of not lending his hand one way or another. But I know the Florida State staff felt really good about where they sat. And I think the Auburn staff thought he was going to Auburn. They thought they did everything they could to get him, and they thought they were going to land his commitment from what I was told. But KJ decided to stay in state, play for the Dogs. And get a relationship with the staff was one thing, but like Kirby said the other day, you can play early at Georgia, even in the secondary. And I think that was a little, negative recruiting that a lot of these, coaches are, saying to these kids against Kirby Smart in Georgia, like, hey, you're not going to be able to play early at Georgia. You're not going to have fun at Georgia. You're not going to get the NIL opportunities at Georgia like you will here. You can play earlier here. I've heard it all. And at the end of the day, he said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to see the field when I see it, and that's up to me. It's not up to the depth chart, but I want to play for these guys. I want to be developed. NIL is cool, and I do think that he's going to have plenty of opportunities to make money in college at Georgia. A lot of guys do. It's not like Georgia doesn't use NIL to their benefit. A lot of guys on the roster are doing very well NIL-wise, but he knows that he could be a Lewis Seen type, or whoever, the next great defensive back out of Georgia, to go in the first round and make NFL money. And he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the athleticism, he's got NFL speed. Right now at 6'1", 185, the kid can absolutely fly, and he's not afraid of contact either. He does not mind coming up and making a big hit on the ball carrier. He can play in the box. He's physical enough to, shed blocks around the trenches in the box and get after the running back. He can chase them down. But his ability to play basically, safety, right center field, middle of the field, and if there's a deep ball down the sideline, he can get there in a hurry. He covers a lot of ground in the back end. And he closes on the ball well. He separates the receiver from the ball. I mean, everything you look for, KJ Bolden can bring that. It's part of his game, and he's just a tremendous athlete. And again, I would love him to be catching passes if he were on my team, but I think he's going to start out at safety at University of Georgia, and I think he's going to be a really, really good one. He's a top 10 player in the country for a reason. Number 8 player in the country, number 1 safety, number 2 player in Georgia. That is an elite talent. That's a future NFL guy. And Georgia just got themselves another one. Big time win for Kirby Smart on the recruiting trail against a lot of programs that really wanted this kid. But in the end, 5-star KJ Bolden has decided to stay home, play for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, and give them another elite defensive back in this 2024 class. Guys, thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now. Sign up to the newsletter, more importantly, and I will see you over on Dawg Post.